Hello, today is Friday, and I've decided that every Friday it's going to be fight related content. It's Fight Friday, so I want to take a look at this. What is this on Instagram?
These are 3 reasons why boxing is soft. Number 3, boxers need to have pillows on their hands. Number 2, boxing has 1-minute breaks. Like, get up and keep fighting. What you doing, bro? Number 1, boxing is limited. Like, you can only use your hands. Fuck that. I want to use my knees. I want to use my elbows.
Number one, what the fuck are you? Why are you screaming? We can hear you, man. First of all, boxing is not soft. Boxing is perhaps the hardest combat sport to deal with. It's the hardest to analyze, that's for sure. And as a commentator slash analyst, I am flabbergasted by people who are actually real experts in boxing. I don't know how the hell you figure this shit out. The thing with boxing is everything is so subtle because you only have hands and your footwork, and that's it. And you have a limited amount of targets to hit in the body. So what ends up happening is if you have to make adjustments, they are so subtle and so minute, it is indistinguishable to not even untrained eye, the casual eye, and even a lot of so-called experts, people who watch a lot of boxing, they will miss out on a lot of details. That's what endlessly fascinates me with boxing. I've been a boxing fan for over 20 years now. I started in 2003. I watched Evander Holyfield versus James Toney. James Toney's heavyweight debut. I don't know, there's something about the timing of that fight, when it happened, where James Toney was in his career, where Evander Holyfield was in his career, the commentary, and just even the CRT television we had back then, the small CRT Sony television that I watched it on. If I remember correctly, what channel was it? PTB 4 or ABC 5? But I do remember it was 2003. I had graduated from high school. I was going to college, and the timing of that fight, boom! I became a boxing fan after that. I had to look for more. Well, first of all, why did they need to have pillows for hands? We're starting to find out why they had to have gloves for boxing, because we now have bare knuckle boxing, and it turns out bare knuckle boxing is pretty gruesome. Not because it's more damaging, actually it's the opposite, since you can't hit as hard with the bare knuckle, but also with the sharpness of the knuckles, with the lack of padding, what ends up happening is people who fight in bare knuckle get cut up. Like, they get mangled, their faces get mangled. And there are some fighters who thrive in bare knuckle, like Platinum Mike Perry, Rolando D here in the Philippines. He's also been having a career revival through bare knuckle boxing. There are just some people who are, yeah, it's like they're born to do it. It's crazy. But because of the change in the weapons, boxing and bare knuckle boxing, they have parallels, of course, because it's still boxing. They still have roughly the same rules, but because of the lack of gloves in bare knuckle, tactics have to be slightly different. Technique has to be different. You have to be more accurate with your punch placement. You have to be even more pinpoint accurate with your technique, because otherwise you smash up your hands. And when you see broken hands in bare knuckle, it's really gruesome, because you can see it right off the bat. You don't get to have the tada reveal of taking off the gloves and then the hand wraps, and then you see, oh my god, my hand is swollen. And then when he said boxing is soft because of the 1 minute breaks in between rounds, most casual fans don't realize just how boring a fight can become without those 1 minute breaks. Like, you do not want to not have those 1 minute breaks, because if you just let them keep fighting, they get tired. They get tired and they slobber over themselves and they just clench up. Hey, stop hugging, stop running. They're gonna hug, they're gonna run if they get really, really tired. That's what the 1 minute breaks are for. Hey, why don't you just improve your cardio? Humans are not designed to fight for that long. Do you have any idea how tiring fighting is? It's like deliberately giving yourself respiratory illness 3 to 5 minutes at a time. It really will make you short of breath. The way fighting rounds was designed back in the day, it was intended that every round is its separate fight. That was how it was originally intended, if I remember correctly. Because fights really are supposed to just last 3 minutes tops. Because if you cannot finish your opponent, in like 3 minutes, if you don't have rules, then what are you doing? You're not really a fight. But the thing is, when you have a fight for that length of time with multiple rounds, what ends up happening is the fighters start learning. They start downloading, as you would say in fighting game parlance. You start learning about the opponent, and then you start being able to adjust, and you also start being able to plant seeds into the opponent's mind. And so that's when the strategy and tactics really come in the fight. And so that evolved. But back then, if I remember correctly, it was intended that every round is its separate fight. And to an extent, you can still look at it as such, especially at the lower skill levels and like backyard brawls, the lower level amateurs. Maybe you could still see it as such. But yeah, if you want to watch a fight without breaks, look up those old challenge fights from the mid 20th century. You could look for Hoist Gracie versus Kazushi Sakuraba. Most of it is boring. Most of it is just them waiting to catch their breath and waiting for the other guy to mess up. That's what it was. It's most of that 90 minutes was them just waiting for the other guy to screw up. And then the third is he wants to I want to use everything, knees and elbows, everything. Watch MMA or watch Muay Thai. If you don't want to, that guy likely does not like the grappling stuff because he doesn't want things to be boring with his short attention span and having to scream all the time. You think that MMA is going to be the best? Well, the thing is, there's a reason why it's 5-minute rounds instead of 3, because you gotta make time for the grappling. And if it's mostly grappling heavy, mostly clinch heavy, a lot of people actually hate that shit. How do we know that? People are hating on fighters like Bilal Muhammad, fighters like back in the day it was John Fitch. And a lot of people hate on Kamaru Usman, especially back when he was a welterweight champion. People hate on fighters needlessly all the time, and they would make excuses like, he has a boring style. Like, they're fighting. What's boring about that? The haters just parrot what other haters say. Boxing became what it became because it was seen as the fairest way to fight back in the day. With only your hands, you have nothing else to hide behind. No weapons. Size becomes less of a factor. And a lot of people say, oh, but what about weight divisions? Yeah, but in MMA, it becomes even more of a factor. In submission grappling, it's even more important. At least with just punching, you have a puncher's chance. Now there are still ways to use your size and weight to control your opponent from up close, and also from afar. Whoever has the greater range, whoever has the longest reach can, most of the time control the fight. But there have always been ways to, counter those advantages. Like Rocky Marciano, he had T-Rex arms, but he knocked out 43 out of his 49 opponents and retired undefeated as heavyweight champion. Mike Tyson as well. We know that guy's power, and that guy was 5'10". Like, he should have been maybe cruiserweight, light heavyweight at that height. But dude was so thick, and he was so fast, so explosive. With that peekaboo style. The cool thing about boxing is that even after all these years that people have prophesized its death, it's still thriving. It's going to be very interesting how it's going to be like 10 years from now, 20 years from now. It's still going to be alive. The concept of two people putting up their dukes and just using their hands to defend themselves, that's always going to be ubiquitous throughout human history. Boxing is great. You should watch more of it. It's cool. Anyway, that's all for now. Comment if you want to see more of this stuff. And go to avoider.net for more content. I should be posting more. Yeah. I've been getting back more into writing lately, so watch out for that. Anyway, that's all for now. Till next time, stay Tor.